It all started on a bright Saturday morning, the kind of morning that makes you proud to be part of a friendly neighborhood. Birds were singing, sprinklers ticking, and I was out front, proudly hanging my rainbow flag for Pride Month. It was more than just fabric to me, it was a symbol of love, acceptance, and freedom. But little did I know, that flag would spark a storm that would shake the whole neighborhood. I had barely stepped back to admire it when I heard the familiar click-clack of heels on the pavement, the unmistakable sound of Karen from the HOA. Clipboard in hand, oversized sunglasses on, and that I run this neighborhood smirk plastered across her face. She marched right up to me like she was on some kind of mission. "Excuse me," she said sharply. "That flag violates HOA Code section 4B. No unauthorized banners are allowed." I blinked, confused. "It's just a flag, Karen. Everyone else has theirs up for the 4th of July. That's different," she snapped. "Patriotic flags are allowed. This one isn't appropriate for our community image." My stomach twisted. Appropriate? For who? That's when I realized this wasn't about rules, it was about control. Later that evening, I got the official HOA email subject line, "Notice of violation." It demanded I remove the flag within 24 hours or face daily fines. I sat there staring at the screen. A mix of anger and disbelief flooding me, my pride, my expression, my identity all suddenly against the rules. I could have just taken it down. Most people probably would have. But something inside me clicked. I wasn't about to be bullied into silence by a woman with a clipboard and too much free time. So instead of removing it, I started planning. I called up a few friends, and over pizza that night, I said the words that would change everything. If she doesn't like my little flag, she's really gonna hate what's coming next. The moment I decided not to back down, everything changed. What started as frustration quickly turned into pure determination. I wasn't just going to hand another flag. I was going to make a statement the entire neighborhood would never forget. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open, sketching ideas on a notepad. I searched for industrial fabric, weatherproof stitching, and telescopic flagpoles. My heart raced with every click. I wasn't thinking small, I was thinking 20 feet wide, visible from every corner of the street. The next day, I called my best friend. "You busy this weekend?" I asked. "Not really." "Why?" "Because we're building a monument," I said. He laughed, but when I told him what Karen had done, he was all in. "Oh, this is gonna be epic." We headed to the local hardware store, grabbed pipes, ropes, concrete mix, and a massive roll of rainbow nylon fabric. The cashier gave us a weird look when he saw the pile, and Mike just grinned. "Neighborhood art project," he said. Back home, we spread everything out on my driveway like we were prepping for a festival. The plan was simple but bold: create a giant rainbow banner that couldn't possibly be ignored. While Mike worked on the flagpole, I sewed the colors together: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, each stripe stitched with defiance and pride. 3 hours in, I heard Karen's unmistakable voice from across the street. "What is all this?" she demanded, marching toward us. I smiled without looking up. "Just working on a home improvement project. You know, community spirit." Her eyes narrowed. "As long as it follows whole guidelines, of course," I said, trying not to laugh. When she finally walked away, Mike whispered, "She's gonna lose her mind." "Exactly," I said. "That's the point." Over the next few days, we poured concrete for the pole base under the cover of night, working by flashlight. I didn't want her filing another violation before the masterpiece was ready. Every hour of work made me prouder. This wasn't rebellion anymore, it was a message to everyone who'd ever been told to tone it down. By the end of the week, everything was ready. The flag was massive, beautiful, impossible to ignore. All that was left was to raise it. And when we did, it wouldn't just be for me, it would be for everyone who ever had their colors muted by someone else's rules. Sunday morning, clear blue sky, not a single cloud in sight. It was the perfect day for a little neighborhood history. Mike and I stood in my front yard, staring at the massive rolled-up rainbow banner that covered half my driveway. It was finally time. The 20-foot masterpiece we'd poured our energy, sweat, and stubborn pride into was ready to rise. "Once this goes up," Mike said, tightening the final bolts on the pole. There's no going back, I grinned. That's exactly the plan. We position the pole in the concrete base, attach the banner, and begin hoisting it with the pulley system we built. The fabric caught the sunlight, shimmering like a spectrum of defiance, as it climbed higher. Neighbors started to notice. Curtains parted, doors opened, phones came out. Mrs. Patterson from across the street whispered, "Oh my goodness," while her husband muttered, "That's actually kind of amazing." But not everyone was amazed. From 2 houses down came that familiar sound, heels on pavement. Karen, and this time, she wasn't walking, she was storming, clipboard clutched tight, phone in hand. Fury written all over her face. "What do you think you're doing?" she shrieked. "Just expressing myself," I said calmly, watching the flag ripple in the wind. "That," she pointed, sputtering, "that is a violation. It's offensive." "You were told to remove the flag." "I did," I said with a smile. "This isn't a flag. It's a banner." Our jaw dropped. "You think this is funny?" "Actually," Mike said, barely holding back laughter, "yeah, it kind of is." She threatened to fine me, to call the whole board, even mentioned getting the police involved. But at that moment, I didn't care. The flag waved proudly above her, 20 feet of bright color and unapologetic freedom visible to the entire block. The crowd grew. Some neighbors clapped. A few even cheered. For the first time, Karen looked outnumbered. "This is not over," she shouted, stomping away toward her car. I watched her drive off, the flag still fluttering behind me like a victorious banner after a long battle. I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Peace. I didn't just win against Karen. I'd proven that no amount of petty rules could silence pride, color, or courage. As the sun set that evening, I sat on my porch with Mike, sipping lemonade and watching the flag dance in the golden light. "Think she'll calm down?" he asked. "Not a chance," I said. "The real storm's just starting." The next morning, I woke up to the sound of angry knocking, not tapping, banging. I opened the door, still half asleep, and there she was, Karen, standing on my porch with 2 uniformed police officers beside her. I blinked, rubbing my eyes. "Morning, officers. Can I help you?" Karen jumped in before they could answer. "Yes, you can. He's in violation of HOA rules, city ordinances, and public decorum." "That is," she pointed dramatically toward the massive rainbow banner still waving proudly above my lawn, "needs to come down immediately." The older officer sighed. "Sir, we received a complaint about an oversized structure and possible obstruction of neighborhood sightlines. Can we take a quick look?" I nodded, stepping aside. "Go ahead. You'll find it's perfectly safe." They walked around the yard, checking the flagpole and concrete base. Meanwhile, Karen kept ranting about how this sort of display didn't represent the values of the neighborhood. When the officers returned, one of them said, "Ma'am, there's no violation of any city law here. The flagpole's within height limits, and it's on private property." Karen's face turned red. "What about the HOA code?" The younger officer shrugged. "That's a civil matter, not a police one. We can't enforce that." The silence that followed was glorious. I swear even the wind stopped to enjoy it. Karen's mouth opened and closed like a fish. "You mean, you're not going to make him take it down?" "No, ma'am," the officer said. "It's not illegal." I couldn't resist. "Would you like me to print you a copy of the city ordinance?" Karen glared daggers at me, then spun around and stomped off, muttering something about bringing this to the board. After the cops left, half the neighborhood came out to congratulate me. Even people who'd never spoken to me before stopped by. One woman said, "Good for you. She's been pushing everyone around for years." That night, my front yard turned into something unexpected, a gathering spot. A few neighbors brought folding chairs and drinks. We sat around, laughing under the glow of the street light. The rainbow banner swaying proudly above us. Karen, of course, watched from her window, blinds slightly open, phone in hand. I could almost see the steam rising from her head. I knew she wasn't done. If Karen couldn't beat me with the police, she'd find another way, probably the whole board itself. But by now, the tide had turned. I wasn't the only one standing up to her anymore, and soon, the whole neighborhood would take a stand. The following week, Karen called for an emergency HOA meeting. Flyers appeared in mailboxes overnight, printed in bold red ink, urgent and approved, structure endangering community standards. Attendance mandatory. I couldn't help but laugh. She really thought she had the whole neighborhood under her thumb. But this time, things were different. That evening, I walked into the community hall with my head high. The place was packed. Nearly every homeowner had shown up, curious about the scandal. Karen stood at the front with her clipboard, wearing a power suit that practically screamed dictator. "Thank you all for coming," she began, voice dripping with fake authority. "We are here to discuss a blatant violation of HOA Code Section 4B, didn't authorize display of a massive, inappropriate banner." She shot me a glare like she expected me to melt under the pressure. But I just smiled. Before she could continue, Mrs. Patterson from across the street stood up. "Karen, with all due respect, that banner isn't inappropriate. It's beautiful. It brings life to our neighborhood." Then another neighbor chimed in. "And it's not blocking anything. Honestly, it's nice to see some color around here for once." A ripple of agreement moved through the crowd. Karen's smile faltered. "I'm glad some of you enjoy breaking the rules," she snapped, her voice rising. "But if we allow one person to defy the HOA, where does it end?" That's when Mike raised his hand. "Maybe it ends when the rules stop being used to bully people." Applause broke out. Real applause, loud, echoing, and stoppable. Karen's face turned crimson as the room began to shift. People were fed up, not just with the banner issue, but with her constant policing of everyone's lives. Someone from the back shouted, "We should vote to amend the rule." Another voice added, "Or vote Karen out." That did it. The room erupted in cheers. Even the HOA secretary, who'd always sided with Karen, looked relieved. Within 10 minutes, a motion was on the table: remove Karen from her position as HOA president. The vote wasn't even close. Out of 30 homeowners, 28 voted yes. Karen stood frozen, clipboard trembling in her hands. "You can't do this," she sputtered. "Oh, Mrs. Patterson said sweetly, "We just did." I didn't gloat. I didn't have to. The flag waving outside my house did all the talking. From that day on, the neighborhood changed. Rules became fair, neighbors became friends, and for the first time in years, everyone felt free to be themselves. As for me, every June, I raised that 20-foot rainbow banner, not as rebellion, but as a reminder: you can't silence pride. Not with fines. Not with fear. Not with a Karen. Enjoying this wild neighborhood showdown? Hit that subscribe button for more HOA drama, petty revenge, and satisfying neighborhood justice stories. If this rainbow banner moment made you smile, drop a like and tell me in the comments, what would you have done if Karen tried to ban your flag?